Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I am joined by my new friend, Rodney. He is the CEO of People Purpose. Rodney Penner, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on, man.
Thanks. Yeah, happy to be here and appreciate the invite, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to get into why I invited you onto the show later on, but it's something that I'm just going to put a teaser in right now for everybody listening. You need to pay attention to what we're going to talk about. The exact reason that got us into this conversation. Since we got into the conversation, I'm finding out we have a lot more in common in a lot more ways than I ever thought. But man, I'm excited to have you here. You do get the same opening question that everybody gets, which is, what does it mean for you, Rodney, to be intentional?
Being intentional for me is building accountability into the process, right? Like if you say, "Hey, I want to have a better relationship with my wife," you got to put the date night into the calendar. And if you're going to try and set an employee up for success, uh, plan those quarterly review meetings from day one, right? Put them in the calendar, and so put into practice uh, and put into practice the things that align with how you want to show up.
I love it, man. It's so true. So true. A lot of people talk about, oh man, I feel like I'm leftovers, or I'm getting leftovers from my spouse, and we're so busy with work and all the things that we have going on. And then when you go and you look at our calendars, it's like, well, do you even have date night on it?
Right.
And most of the people listening to this, by the way, will be like, what's date night? Just being honest. Somebody just got called out, and it's you if you felt the gut punch that came from that. But it's like, man, like at the end, I'll share this with you really quick. Okay, unfortunately, our next door neighbor, just across the street, directly across, I look at his house right across the window. Shane just passed away last week. 73 years old, and I mean, just heart exploded, dropped dead, totally unexpected. Okay. And in his eulogy was a really amazing write-up about the work that he had done. And that was great. And I'm proud of the work that he had done. And I'm happy that he had a good career. But that wasn't what it was about. Right? That wasn't, like in there, right? In my eulogy, I want to see more things about whether or not, was my wife amplified? Are my kids leading a legacy? Are they following the Lord after me? Are they building a career that they love and building families that they love? Like those are the fruits of intention. And that's really what the show is about. Like that's what we're interested in, right? You're going to know a tree by its fruit. And what kind of fruit did it produce? And I think if you want to be an intentional leader, your self-evaluation is to go look at the fruit. Are the people around you better off or not?
It's interesting you started.
Yeah.
It's interesting you started with the end. Stephen R. Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. It's one of the most influential books in my life, second to the Bible, of course. And you start with the end, and intentionality comes from what does my end look like, and what are people saying about me? And I think my mission, I try to build my mission from that. And who do I want to be remembered as? And I hope it's not the work that I did.
I know.
Fully agreed.
Probably about a month or month and a half ago, I had a guy named Ron Lynch on the show. And Ron is a movie screenwriter, movie director, has made some really interesting movies. He's been an actor, and I brought him on to talk about how we can screenwrite our lives. Okay. And because I was really interested in like doing a better job of being more intentional about telling my story before the story's over. And so he said one of the like an activity that you can do is sit down with a yellow notepad, right, or sit down with a notebook, and we want you to write your eulogy. But the eulogy is being read by God, and it's heaven, and it's happy hour. It's 5:00 happy hour on a Friday. Okay, in heaven, and God is introducing you for the first time to everybody that's there. What do you want them to say?
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it. I did this interview like 2 months ago, and I'm still working on it 'cause I want this to be good, you know? I don't want it to
Yeah.
be and it's really shifting and changing the way I look at myself and what's really important to me and what are we really building in my business? Does it really matter whether we build a $10 million ARR business? Is God gonna care?
Right. Doesn't
At the end
matter.
of the day, right? Or does he really care? Did we help people become better versions of themselves? Did we help save some marriages along the way? Did we help some people discover their gifting, their anointing because of
Yeah,
the level of coaching that we were doing? And yes, did we help some people grow some businesses? Yes, that's what gets us in the doorway. That's what we do really, really well, right? That's
for
what gets
sure.
us in. But it's not about that. Like I could care less about that at the end of the day. Like what I care about is did we get access to people and were we able to help them become better versions of themselves?
Impact. Yeah, I had one of my clients, I do some on philanthropy and I do some, I charge the ones that can pay, and there's some people I help for the sake of helping.
Love it.
And the one guy was telling me, he says, you should be like the Grant Cardone and fly on the plane and talk to all the people, and, you'd be really good at that and write a book. And I just said, my goal is to follow the Lord's leading and make the impact he's asking me to make. If that's with one person or a million, um, I just want to obey and follow his voice. If that's included, great. If it's not and nobody knows who I am, that's okay too. Let's do his plan. And that's been the most fun plan for me.
Well, it's a narrow gate strategy for sure, but I would imagine that the downstream um, fruit, let's just say the downstream fruit is going to be worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, by the way, I think Cardone is a Scientologist, so I'm not sure how how that plays out from an eternal perspective.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Let's dive into this a little bit. So, I want to get into why you're here because a couple months ago, I think it was, you made a post on LinkedIn and you talked about having done a deal with a customer in the construction space, not the ag space, but still very much related. And you've got some background in the ag industry too. We can talk about that later. But you had a $60,000 deal with a client, and you gave the money back because he didn't treat you well. Talk about that.
Yeah. So the 60K was a deposit check. And so we'd made an arrangement with this project management company. They were serving their client, building a luxury home. And they needed some help with, we bid the foundation work and demolition, some excavation. And, and so we basically, well, we put a proposal together for a piling contract based on terms of equipment being available within a certain window. Submitted that proposal. They chose to award it, but they waited until after that window when that equipment was available to award it to us. So we got the deposit check by mail. It came, a week after our window was closed, and now, we were delayed based on the specification of pile that they wanted to go in there. So my
Mm.
response immediately was, well, just so you know, we've missed this window that was in our quote, and now we've got a delay. We're going to have to reschedule this. And immediately, hardly finished pushing send, the guy calls me up and he starts calling me every name. You're a thief. You're a liar. You're just taking my money, and you're just a scam artist, and all the names you can imagine. And I said,
Yeah.
sir, are you in the office? He said, yes. I said, I'll be right there. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Make sure you're there. We're going to talk face to face. And so I was with my boss at the time. I said, Kate, you've got your checkbook? He says, yep. I says, great. We're going to write that check back for the 60 grand deposit that they sent us. And we're going to go and put that on the table when we go and talk to them. And of course, my boss was kind of like, what? I says, no, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to be okay with walking away because we're not going to make decisions. We're not going to allow our reaction to come from a place of needing money, and we're just never going to be that way. And he agreed. So yeah, we drove straight to his office. We had the check written. We walked in into his boardroom, and he walked in hot, fired up, like just ready to attack. I just said, "Here's your money back. You called me a thief, and I don't accept that. We're not thieves. Here's your money back." And he just like dialed right back, and I just saw the kind of the look of surprise on his face, and he was shocked. Nobody had ever done this before, and so he kind of didn't know what to do with it. He was stunned. I said, "Well, I said, I think if I can understand what's going on here, you've made a promise and a commitment to your client. Now you're scrambling to figure it out, and you're mad at me for not being to help you honor the commitment that you've made. You delayed the process. If you look at the contract and you read what was written in it, you
Mhm.
delayed the process. Now the equipment's not available. And calling me a thief and a liar is not actually going to help you solve this problem. So you can either take your money back, or you can ask me to help you solve your problem. And that is honor the commitment that you made to the client. I don't have to help you. I can help you, but I'm not going to help you like this." And his demeanor changed completely. He went from hot and angry to realizing, oh, wow, I have no control over the situation, right?
Mhm.
Because this guy's willing to just walk away. The contract was $178,000. This guy's willing to walk away from it and give me the 60K back and say, I refuse to be treated this way. And it was a real shock for him. He
Yeah.
did, he did turn around. His attitude changed, and he said, okay, Rod, I'm sorry. Um, how can you help?
Wow.
Right. The question changed. The question changed to how can you help? And yeah, I mean, it was fun, right? I already had the solution. We had the solution was to change the pile spec to from a cast in place pile to a steel driven pile. That equipment was available, readily available, and the materials were available
Yep.
as well. So we could mobilize within the week. And
Wow.
so I suggested the alternate, along with providing the engineering to back up the fact that, hey, we could structurally make this change. We had an engineer on board with the with making the change, and
Cool.
inevitably, yeah, he chose to proceed with it, and we saved the deal and made him look good for the promises that he made for his client.
Yeah. And what was your relationship with him on the backside of all this? I'm curious.
It was limited. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a project manager,
Sure.
and we'd saved him a pile of money on this project with some of the deliverables that we did. We were creative with
Yeah.
even demolition. We demolished this house, but instead of hauling everything to the dump, we bought a huge chipper and put all the lumber through the wood chipper.
Mm.
So we saved piles of money on tipping fees, but it also, because we covered the site in wood chips, we got rid of mud. So equipment was running cleaner. It was a beautiful job site to work on because we used kind of parts of the house. So very creatively helped them. We helped them save money and do this job better than any other company would have come and done with it. And so we kind of like that creative problem solving side,
Yep.
which kind of led to more opportunity, and we continued to apply creative problem solving even after, right? So
So good, man. Okay, I want to break this apart just a little bit for those listening. So, first of all, what I notice a lot in the conversations that we have, especially with salespeople, is they tend to give up a lot of their power to their customer. Okay.
mm-hmm.
So when the customer's calling, I mean, I'm talking, we have people who are answering calls 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, just because they're afraid the customer is going to go down to the road to the competition if they don't take that phone call. I got people getting up out of church to go answer a phone call because, if that farmer doesn't get a call back right away, he's going to go to the next cooperative down the road and get his fertilizer, his whatever he needs or whatever he forgot to buy or be proactive about. um,
Yeah.
he's going to go get that somewhere else because that's what's important to him now. God forbid, you should want to go to church on a Sunday morning with your family. And it's like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's not isolated. I've heard this from dozens upon dozens upon dozens of coaching clients who deal with this kind of treatment from their customer. And I'm so
Um,
sick, which is why when I read your post about the story that you just shared with us, that was so refreshing. I'm like, okay, finally, here's somebody who's got the balls to take the check back to the customer and say, okay, if you don't like us, you deal with it. Go get it somewhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah. Find someone else that'll put up with your attitude, because I won't.
Seriously. And
Can't
we
pay
just
me
went
enough.
through an exercise with one of our clients recently. So we have a product called Jericho, which is an AI driven performance management system, but it has a sales agent in it. And so what we do is we load their historical sales data for all of their customers in. And we look across like all the customers that they have. And, some of them have 40, 50, 60, 90 customers. Just it depends on the length of time they've been around and their territory. It varies. But we had everybody search their customer base and have it pull up by revenue. Okay, who are the customers that give me about 80 to 85% of my business? Okay. And I watch this one guy's face as he looks at his list. Okay. Because it was out of his 41 customers, 14 generated 85% of his revenue.
Yep.
And he starts looking at this list and like, so we're talking the 80-20 rule, right? Pareto's principle. And I've taught this in sales training for years. So conceptually, theoretically, people understand like, yep, probably 80% of my business comes from 20 to 30% of my customers. That's probably accurate. And I'll ask
Yeah.
them, where does the most stress come from? Well, generally it's the 80% of the customers that are only 20% of the business. But in this
That's right.
case, he was able to actually look at the list of customers and pinpoint who are the most stressful.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, so those three guys that cause you the most stress, the most headaches, that you're bending over backwards, that you're taking phone calls at all hours of the day, and they're yelling at you and they're never grateful. They represent what? 4% of your total business?
Yeah.
Go get a new customer, fire them.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
100%. It's the fear of loss and the scarcity mindset that drives a lot of times
Yeah.
it handicaps someone from saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using feelings of scarcity to make a decision instead of facts. The
Mm-hmm.
logical side of your brain is disengaged, and you're emotionally deciding, I need every deal I can get in order to be profitable. And yeah, I see this all the time in construction as well. It's the same parallel. We're bidding every job. Uh, we've got a 12% bid hit win ratio. Out of 100 bids, 12 are being awarded. And I did the same exercise with this client. Let's pull up bid history for the last 2 years. The
Mm-hmm.
top 15% is 80% of the revenue, and the top 15% are we're winning 80 to 100% of the bids. And then you got a sandwich in the middle, and then at the bottom, you have a bunch of zeros. Like, you never get anything. Why are we bidding to these companies, guys? You want your bid hit win ratio to go up? Say no to the bottom 30%, and now you're already at 25 to 30% bid hit win. What are you gonna do with all your extra time? Right? And the interesting thing that I noticed was the companies at the top that were awarding the most work were the best communicators, the best to work with, paid on time, fewest problems in communication.
Yep.
And so they were their favorite companies. I said, imagine if you had an extra 30% of your time to serve those people at the top even better, what would happen?
Exactly. Exactly. The fastest place to grow business, new business, is always with the current best customers. Always, always,
Yeah.
always. You know, even if it's only a 5% growth, but now you're 5% growth on 100 grand or 200 grand or a million or more, right? That's significant as opposed to going and getting a customer that just, is a tens of thousands or a few hundreds.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of your business and what kind of business you're in. But okay, man. So what was it? I want to know, like, what was the look on your boss's face when you said, "Hey, we're gonna get out your checkbook. We're gonna go write him this check back."
Yeah, yeah, he was like, "We're gonna do what?
We're gonna do
We're
what?
gonna do what?" So yeah, we're gonna give him a check back, and I had done a few. I mean, this wasn't his first experience with me. There was a reason why we ride together, and no, we're gonna do what? But he trusted it. He really, he knew it was what we needed to do, and we couldn't allow the money to make the decision for us.
Yep.
And it's a principle I've tried to live my life by. Like, if I took money out of the equation, what would I do? I try to apply that with raising my kids, with taking on a client, or doing a project. Like, if I wasn't getting paid, if I won the lottery, would I be doing this if I didn't need the money? If the answer is no, then I shouldn't be doing it for the money either.
Mm,
And it's a principle I've tried to live my life by. I've gone through bankruptcy living by that principle. I've
mhm,
there's been many things that have happened. I lost my best paying job living by that principle. That led into my bankruptcy. Um,
mhm.
it, Remove money from the decision making equation, and you're going to make a lot better decisions. And you said it earlier, it takes balls, or it takes faith,
Yep.
uh, because the faith is that I'm going to do the right thing, and it's
Yep.
going to cost me something.
Mhm.
And I would rather have it cost me financially than eternally.
Mm.
Full stop.
What's the bigger trade?
Long term investing.
Mhm. Wow. That does take faith. It does take faith. Where I know that the answer in general is faith, but where does your structure, grounding come from to be able to go through all of these things in order to be able to operate from a space where money doesn't actually control you?
So, growing up, I grew up in a family that was religious, and I heard many times about how the business was a gift from God, but I never heard how children were a gift from God. And
Mm,
I always felt less important than the business in the family,
yeah.
and or things that the money bought. There's some stories behind that as well, but I don't think we need to get into it. And so I kind of determined, and this is a life lesson as well. Your children will either be conditioned uh, because of you to become something, or despite you to become something. And my determination to not value money over people came from a young age,
Hmm,
uh, and being made to feel that money was valued more than I was. And I hated that feeling. And
hmm,
I didn't ever want to make anybody else ever feel that way. And so I was quite determined early on in life that I wasn't going to go through this life chasing money. So that kind of started from, I would say, from a hurt is where it
mhm,
came from, and it's been persistent. It's been something in my life that has been fairly persistent, right
mhm.
right from a young age. So
You bet. So it started from a hurt and then you transmuted it into an actual strength
yes,
that
over
helps you.
time.
It now actually helps you do business, which is wild, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Hmm.
now you're doing business from a place where it's not like, I can walk away from the 60 grand, I can walk away from the deal. This is below the standard of how I get treated. This is below the standard of the type of business that we do. And, I mean, I can really we walked away from about half of our customer list last year at the tail end of 2025. And it was a real, I mean, it sucked because some of these guys, and we're friends, we're still friends. I mean, because we've been in doing business and providing service to these companies for like 8 years, man. We have a lifetime value with our customers that goes and goes and goes. And what we do is very generally very sticky. And once we get in, then we're there a while. Well, I mean, some of them were like, well, we're going to do this. Like, we understand this is how you're wanting to do it, but we want to customize it and do it this way. Okay.
Right.
So, and it was fine. Like, they're paying an honest amount for an honest amount of work, but it's custom. And when you start doing in our type of business, when you have 8 or 10 or 20 of those very custom deals, and it's 20K over here and 10K over there and 30K over there and 100K over there, it gets very hard to keep track of everything. And so we decided to streamline, and basically everybody has the same offer. They can customize how they use it. So
Right.
it's a similar concept to the customer, but we changed it. But then we also raised the floor for what it costs. And so the minimum investment was X. And so if they weren't willing to get on board with that, then we just had to say, hey, like, okay, that's cool. You have the option to join us and stay with us and do this thing, or not. And we can all continue to be friends. And about half went away, and it stunk and it stings. And our stress level is way down. Our level of confusion is way down. The amount of details running through my head is way down. And so we're now able to focus on some of the other things that do matter, right? Like, how do we go deep, deep, deep with the customers that we have on the roster now, right? So that we can expand through them.
It's that what you're speaking about is it's part of my approach to the consulting that I do with clients' businesses,
Yeah.
and I take it almost I take it almost one step backwards to get to the starting point. Like we started at the end earlier. Um, I like to build the customer journey, define who my customer is and build their journey, that their experience is going to be like with my company before I build my process.
Hmm.
And my process comes out of the journey that they're going to get. And inevitably, yeah, there's customers that aren't signing up for that journey, and the sooner I can find the no, the better in the sales
Yeah.
process, right? It's all about finding the no fast. Hey, if you know your closing ratio, if it's 3 out of 10, then you got to find 7 no's, and you're going to get your 3 yeses. But the more defined your processes can match what you actually intend to deliver, and the more prepared your customer is to experience what you've designed for them to experience intentionally, then the higher your success rate will be, the more satisfied your customers will be. And surprise, surprise, when they get through the journey and they get down to the end, surprise, surprise, there's no surprise. And that's the best surprise you can give anyone.
Yeah, I
Hey,
love
there's no
it.
surprises.
No surprises here. Man, we could all
Yeah,
stand to get better at that one. Okay, so the reality is, Rodney, you're not in the business these days of selling construction equipment or things like
right.
that. You've got a consulting company. Talk briefly about that. We did not get a chance to dive into that earlier on, so just share a little bit about that for the folks that are listening, and then how do we find out more about you if we want to go look it up?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in a business of helping entrepreneurs build healthy leadership into their organization, kind of planning what success looks like for their customers
Hmm.
and for their team members, organizational maps along with disc assessments, hiring strategies, marketing strategies, and sales process creation and coaching. Um, the end goal, of course, is to set up every person in the picture for success, both your management, the team members, and your customers. And in construction, we also have trades and suppliers. It's another angle.
Cool.
How do we build intentionality in dealing with our network as well? And so I help companies grow. Um, I think the biggest thing that I give to them is expanding their thinking and changing the way that they approach their problems, and building that intentionality into the process. And it's a lot of, I get to have a lot of fun.
I love it, man. I dig it. It's so good. So good. What's the website?
It's people-purpose.com.
Okay.
That's the best place to find me. It's probably needs an overhaul, but it'll give you the baseline for what I'm doing. And yeah, you're welcome to check it out and reach out if you want to find out more.
All good. I love it. You already mentioned the Bible, and you mentioned 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as a book recommendation. We always take book recommendations and put them into our tool at called Jericho, which is at askjericho.com. And so
Yeah.
we're going to, we already have those in the library. I'm going to give you one more shot. Do you have another book that's impacted you greatly that we can add to the library that people who have their individual
Oh
growth
man.
book in Jericho can
Hmm.
add?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know. That is the one that's really top of mind for me.
Yeah, I
Seven
love it.
Habits. You have, of course, you have it. It's the foundation for which
You
most of
have
the other
to.
books
It's
kind of
Do you
like
know it's
stand
so,
on.
so wild. Do you know it took him 10 years to write that book?
Yeah, that's wild.
But every year he continues to be I mean, he's dead. But
Yeah,
every year he continues to be a bestseller. So talk
yeah.
about legacy and talk about time and talk about raising
The
the floor, right? Because he wasn't willing to sacrifice and just put in whatever. I mean, he really, really changed the game. So,
the
man,
reason
uh,
that book is so special to me is, my late friend Christensen. He showed up as a person in my life the way that I want to show up for people. And it was a book he gifted me and said, "Rod, read this. It's going to change your life."
wow.
And and I did read it, and that was just before a significant career change for me, where the Lord opened the door for an opportunity that I was able to have massive influence in, and it was literally life changing for me. Like
So good.
my career from that point forward has been significantly different. And a lot of it came from just practicing and applying the principles in that book. It was huge.
I love it. Get that book. You can find it anywhere. You can also sign up for an account at askjericho.com and get your
Yeah.
own individual growth plan. And we'll assign it to you as well and give you a link. So, Rodney, thanks for being on the show, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time as well. Thanks, Mark.